This is the Louie T Network.
Man, I love some football. Man, I love some football. My favorite week is week 1, cause I'm watching football. First comes the preseason, and I don't take a day off. And then it gets even better when your team makes the playoffs. 32 teams go hard for one thing. They work for one thing. That Super Bowl ring. 32 teams go hard for one thing. They work for one thing. That Super Bowl ring. We in the lab room.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome. You are in the lab room. Of course, I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week number 3 in the National Football League. Buffalo Bills hosting the San Diego Superchargers in a week 3 matchup between two teams playing some really good football. Bills coming off a huge win at home versus the Miami Dolphins. Meanwhile, the San Diego Chargers just came fresh off of the dismantling, and of course it wasn't that bad of a beatdown, but it felt good to go home and beat the Super Bowl defending champion Seattle Seahawks. So that's a huge notch under your belt. They're playing with some confidence. Let's see if they can take that confidence on the road now and get a win against a tough, gritty Buffalo Bills football team. So big pass play to Malcolm Floyd starts this San Diego Chargers offense and gets the scoring started as Eddie Royal gets into the end zone on a little bubble screen, and now it's 7-0. So Chargers start fast in this game, and Malcolm Floyd made his presence felt in this football game. That is for certain. Bolts add a first quarter field goal to go along with that touchdown to make it 10-0, but they lose Danny Woodhead. At the time, he's carted off the field. You don't know the extent of the injury. We later find out he is going to be gone for the entire season. That is a huge blow to this team because Danny Woodhead every single week is a wild card. You don't know what you're going to get from him. And as an opposition, he is a nightmare to have to deal with. I think a guy like Eddie Royal going to have to step up in his absence and kind of fill that void as the little jittery guy that can make things happen with the football in his hands. You saw a little bit of that in this game, and keep in mind, no Ryan Matthews for a little while. He's going to be on the shelf. So you have no Woodhead now, no Matthews. A young guy like Marion Grice maybe going to have to step up and get some carries. And so we'll see what the Chargers decide to do at the running back position, but we move on to the second quarter. Bills get a couple of chunk plays, including a big one from Scott Chandler. Sets up a field goal. It's now 10-3. Bills get on the scoreboard. Malcolm Floyd, I talked about him having a huge day. Another big catch. At one point, he had 2 catches for 95 yards, and this catch helped put the Chargers back into the red zone, helping them get another field goal onto the scoreboard. So now it's 13-3. Chargers up in this game as we head to the halftime break. Come out of the break into the third quarter we go. LG making plays. Life's good when you get the football to Ladarius Green, and the Bolts goes back down into the Bills red zone, and this time Eddie Royal does it again, gets into the end zone from 3 yards out, and so now it's 20-3. Bills are being dominated in this game, and the thing that really upset me with the Bills in this game were the amount of penalties. This was a sloppy game by the Buffalo Bills. You can't shoot yourself in the foot against a good football team like the Chargers. You've got to play some top choice, grade A football, and one of the things you have to steer clear of course, turnovers, but the other thing is penalties. This Chargers team doesn't need your help, and the Bills really shot themselves in the foot with 11 penalties for 110 yards. That is a losing formula in the National Football League. Bills finally moving the football down the field and getting into the end zone as Fred X begins to deliver. It's now 20-10 as we head into the fourth quarter. E.J. Manuel has an intentional grounding penalty in the end zone. Put your hands together. That's a safety. It's 22-10, and that would be your final score in this game as the San Diego Chargers really pretty much dominated this game from start to finish and get the win on the road versus the Buffalo Bills, 22-10. And like I said, for the Bills, you've got to be lamenting the fact that you had so many penalties in this game. You cannot have the amount of mistakes that you had and expect to win against a really solid San Diego Chargers football team. If you're the Chargers, it's a big win on the road. The Bills have been playing some very good football. Again, they came into this game undefeated, and they had been playing some lights-out defense. They really held the Bears down offensively. They did the same thing to the Dolphins and smothered them. So for you to come in, have some offensive success, score the football, hold their offense down, and get a win on the road, it's tough to go to Buffalo and get W's. To do that, you got to feel good about yourself. Chargers playing some great football right now. They're now 2-1 in the season. Bills get their first loss. They're still hanging around in this division. They've got to shake this one off and continue to try to find their groove and their niche. And they got to play consistent football. This was not one of their better showings, but they can shake this off and get back on track next week. So that's going to do it for the breakdown of Bills and Chargers. I thank you for joining me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. Hey, come back and join me. I've got plenty more games to break down in week number 3 in the National Football League. I'll see you in a bit.